Today I'm going to have you come with me while I create a gigantic tote bag out of old vintage fabric and a knitted portrait that I made. So a few months ago I was inspired by some really funky fabric I found at the thrift store to make like a tote bag, and I wanted to incorporate one of my two-color glitch portraits onto the bag. And so I just made up a pattern and kind of cut pieces of fabric to what I thought might be the right size. And my vision was for it to be like sort of this great big multi-purpose tote bag, kind of like those IKEA totes that everyone carries around, because we artists, we need a lot of space to carry stuff. So I went ahead and I sort of winged it and made one up, and it quickly became like my favorite bag. So if I've taken it shopping at the thrift store, I've taken it to like the pet store, and I have 3 dogs. When I go to the pet store, it's a lot of cans of dog food, and I put them all in the bag and it held them all great. And I was really surprised by how strong this bag was. And it's cute because it's got all the vintage fabric and everything. So I thought, well, you know what? I think I want to make more of this bag. So I measured out the different sections and created a paper pattern for it. And then I pulled out my vintage fabric that I've been collecting and chose a few that would look nice together. I don't want to use more than three max, like retro fabrics. I think it gets too busy if I use more than 3. And then I cut out the fabric to match the paper pattern. And then I stepped back with my sewing machine and I had to take apart the different knit portraits because it was going to have the knit portrait on the front of the bag. And the way I do the knit portraits is I have them one after the other on the knitting machine with a little border between them. So then I have to sew a straight line and then a zigzag line and then cut the portraits apart from one another. So that was my one step I had to take. And then once that was finished, I could then sew the different pieces together. So I sewed a piece of the fabric to the back of the knitted section so that all the little yarny floats and stuff wouldn't get stuck on all the stuff that you put inside the tote. And then the rest of the bag doesn't have a lining. Instead, it's all just kind of raw. And then I pieced together like the sides and the bottom and then the front and everything. And the front has 2 panels that make it a little wider. And then I had measured out some fabric to be the straps. So the straps are not super long. They're just long enough that you could open the bag up completely, but it still stays kind of close to your body when you wear it over your shoulder. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I think the one thing I'm going to change is I was just using my regular sewing machine to seam up the inside. So it's definitely strong enough, but it's not quite as clean as I would like. So what I was working on last night was I have an overlooker. And so I took that and tuned it up because it wasn't working properly. And I oiled it and cleaned it and everything, and I kept testing with it, and I got it up and running. So I'm really excited because I want to make more of these bags with different fabrics and different portraits, and I'll be using the overlooker to make sure all the inside seams are really strong and really clean and look really nice. So yeah, and then there is the finished bag. I'm really happy with how it turned out.